Hi there, it's me Ramesh again. I'm going to talk a little bit about the differences between Second Life and Opensim. And that's because this question is often asked. Um, Most people would be aware of Second Life, at least people who are interested in virtual worlds and virtual reality, extended reality, mixed reality, whatever buzzword of the day is um, you know is prevalent. And um, I wanted to focus on the community aspects and the technology aspects. Okay. Um, the origin of OpenSim is actually Second Life. What happened during the early days of Second Life is that there were some individuals who were interested, who were inspired by the virtual world, and they, through reverse engineering and through doing their own coding, they were able to create OpenSim. And OpenSim has survived since for a very long time. So it's an open source effort, whereas Second Life is actually a VC-funded effort, and of course, it's a company that has profits and a very well-oiled marketing arm, and that 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 is really helpful because they're able to sense what their community needs are, and they try to design their websites, etc., to reflect those interests. And it's always difficult, as you know, to create a website for a very diverse audience. It's not easy. And Second Life over the years has experienced these kind of wide spectrum of user needs. It's kind of it was difficult for them to try to target education folks and people who use Second Life for entertainment, and not saying that there is a big a demarcation between entertainment and education, but it tends to be, the needs tends to be very different. And I think that this point is important because when I'm going to talk about the technology aspects, you'll find out why it kind of makes sense for OpenSim to do what it is doing. All right. So this is the website of Second Life, and while we continue the presentation, so you get a sense of the kind of, I'm not saying that this is the only type of audience. There may be a whole range, a very diverse audience, and Second Life is very responsive to these needs. But one of the things that you immediately see is the quality of the avatars and the rendering and the artwork is really top notch. I mean, a lot of people don't give Second Life credit for that. If you explore many other worlds, the reason why I'm smiling is that I don't want to dive into the debates about fidelity and low poly and all that stuff. I'll have another talk for that. I promise. All right, so this is one. Let me just bring up the Open Simulator website. I can see my facelift light moving in the background. So this is opensimulator.org. Takes a while for the page to load, so we can continue talking here. Let me see. When I was talking about the community aspects, let me write it down here. Second Life is more, gaming focus, or maybe even that is is debatable because you have, it's more entertainment focus maybe, and you do have education efforts in Second Life, but it's kind of I would say, even though it's very significant and important, it's I would say it's relatively less than in OpenSim, and we'll see why. Okay, so for the community we have for Second Life is this, and what can we say about OpenSim? It's the OpenSim community starts with different types of individuals. Many actually start exploring OpenSim because of costs, cost issues. So if you are, as you know, OpenSim is an open source effort, so it is possible to have. Let me just replace this with more affordable. It's more affordable, and users have the opportunity to create their own grids. Okay. What do I mean by grid? It's basically like a copycat of Second Life. I mean, it's a bit like an overstatement, I know, but you can actually install a grid on a few servers and set up a number of regions and land that you can rent to other people. So there is this aspect that's definitely attractive to the education community, because they want to have control on the environments that they want to use for education. So those are the kind of issues that have been discussed in the past, but I'll focus a little bit more on some of the technical aspects, which are maybe it's not more advanced. It's because as a developer myself, it's kind of what we look at. So one of the first problems that I found with Second Life is the limitations with the Linden Lab scripting language. Okay, so that's one of the problems I have. So just to give you an example, you can't, for example, even save data in a note card in Second Life. It's kind of a very important functionality. I think Second Life has 18 years of existence right now, and if you want to save data and have applications that require saving the state of the application, you need to do it through a REST API. It's using HTTP request and all kinds of things, and push the data out and save. So it kinds of limit the power of the in-world applications. Okay. Whereas in OpenSim, they developed their own language, which is OSSL, and it's actually more powerful than LSL. Okay, and and as an open source community, I mean, this is kind of kudos to them. I mean, they were able to actually extend a lot of these functions, and in turn, this has allowed us to create, more advanced applications for OpenSim. And just to give an example, this presentation tool has uses OSSL, a lot of OSSL functions. For example, I can save any presentation. I can write, a website browser using OSSL, which is a bit more advanced than just MoApp, and you can, like it's practically a browser. You can save bookmarks, and you can externalize the bookmarks as 3D objects that you can place or all around you in, you know, in a bookshelf. I mean, all these are actually objects that if you click on, it's going to, cause websites or media to be played. And obviously, you want to save, all that data in some way. And you can do it, as I said, using REST APIs or you write your own PHP code in the backend and do all the data transfers with LSL. But there are so many more functions available in OSSL that makes a lot of applications possible. And when you have developers like us developing applications and pushing the boundaries, this kinds of that information get communicated to the open source community of developers, and then they try to make changes to the underlying code based on how much time they have and and look at the various possibilities and constraints. For example, we have to, in our case, for us, resing is kind of basic, okay? It's kind of, the engine in a car, okay? So a car is not an engine, the engine is just part of the car. So when we are building the application and we tell the developers, we have to raise maybe 1,000 objects. Normally the typical response would be, oh, well, no, you're not supposed to do that. This is not what it's designed for. But when we create applications and we show, why we need certain things, then there is an open dialogue, and then we try to further optimize. And over the years, things have improved and things get optimized. And we expand the application space and we expand the backend infrastructure. And this very tight loop of communication between developers on the front end and developers on the back really lead to better systems. Okay. And I think one of the things that I would like to focus on, since I'm here, is when you have all these different platforms coming up and all these companies doing virtual world stuff with, I would say very generously funded, efforts. Like, we are not talking 5 million, 6 million, we are talking 10, 20, 30 million. Even that in the VC space is very small. If you look at the valuation of Roblox, okay, and how the world looks like, etc., what happens is that you have a very niche market of virtual world where people do very, very small little 3D gaming experiences where they have this, and then they start having, the original Second Life dreams, the 3D version of the web, all these things. Philip Rosedale talked about it like decades ago. I'm sure there are other people who talked about these things much early on. And then we were trying to look at how to create a 3D version of the web. And over the years, we were talking about the hype cycle and we have this we were supposed to walk up very slowly up the productivity curve. But what I found was that while walking up the productivity curve, we are not actually improving productivity. What we are actually doing, we are reinventing the past. Like you have all these companies coming forward, with the same ideas. The only differentiator is maybe they are more easily accessible on mobile devices and so on. And now there are a whole range of ways to do this. And there are a lot of tricks that you use. And most tend to go towards, the streaming of the applications rather into web browsers, rather than actually having, an application, a heavy application running within the browser itself. That doesn't quite work. So most people who are doing virtual worlds supposedly accessible through any device are tending or veering towards a streaming solution. And maybe we'll do this for, as well. So what I am saying is that you can see that the platforms are changing, but the core problems, the core issues about interaction, about the paradigms about interactions, the paradigms about education and how to do it, the paradigms about data visualizations, that's intact. That hasn't moved. It's been totally static. And you would see that, it doesn't matter if you are a very small open source effort with 4 or 5 developers, and you will be sitting around the desk and you will be talking about exactly the same problems that people would be talking about in a much more well-funded and well-staffed environment where you can actually see those different things happen, and these different discussions happen. All right, so again, I wanted to stress that there are a set of problems that exists, and you can address at whatever level you are, and at what regardless of the choice of platform that you have settled on. And the reason why we are sticking with Opensim is that we can still address all these core problems, okay? And one of the core problems for us is to see, how we can make it easier for people to bring in information into the virtual worlds, to present them, to save them, to manipulate them, in the virtual world, and see how these approaches can work. Okay, so that space is still open, and Opensim is a great environment for doing this kind of experimentation. And I think that most people would be surprised to see, for example, Opensim efforts. There are many. At least I can point to one. For example, there is one company who has deployed virtual worlds in the cloud using Opensim. A company like Kitely, for example, years ahead of Second Life. So and then only recently you had this effort bear fruits in Second Life. So you can see that it doesn't matter what platform you're on, or whether you're going to high def VR, or even what I'm saying is whatever else is out there, the new kids on the block, etc. But the problems about interactions, and what metaphor you're going to use to interact, what kind of visualizations you're going to use, what's going to be your architecture, the architecture of the applications that you're going to build on top of the Opensim infrastructure, how that's going to look like. There are so many issues, how you design your worlds and your buildings, how do you capture data from your students for competency evaluation. All this, okay, can be implemented at a separate layer in Opensim, and that's what we are doing. So this is kind of summarizes, the difference between Second Life and Opensim. So don't be too discouraged when you see, that our stuff from the Opensim community looks too bland, and because I have to admit, the artistic community of Second Life is very big, and on our end, we really need to grow our artistic I would say our 3D modeling community, and and um, and kind of balance things out. So we have technology, we have people with which are open to listening to changes regarding the backend, and I think those are kind of pluses from my perspective. So everything I'm saying here is in my opinion. All right. So let me close this little commentary slash informational piece here, and I'll see you next time. Okay, and I hope that I'll have another interesting topic. Okay, so bye for now. Okay, see you.